Good evening, everybody. Welcome back after a couple weeks off. We're finally back in your faces. Adam, how's it going?
Not too bad, Clinton. How are you? Happy New Year.
Same to you, buddy. We're I like to call it we're kind of on the other side of the mountain, or we flipped the page now. For me, mentally, this is kind of we're headed towards racing season now. Go downhill towards the holidays, and for me, it's uphill back towards the races. But hey, it's a freight train coming at us on the tracks, and it's a good sight.
Yeah,
Before we get
no, I agree totally.
Before we get too much further, we should send our condolences out to the James family. They've lost the patriarch of the family there, and all thoughts go out to Connor and the family. Tough way to start the year for sure. All the best to them and anybody else who had issues. Spencer, I adjusted the rundown, so you might want to fix that up. We have some cool stuff to talk about. Matt Williamson is going to join us here, Adam, to talk about his first foray into the Chili Bowl. Keegan Baker is going to join us as well. We were trying to get Trayton, but we couldn't connect with him quite this week, so we will swap that out for Keegan. And as we say it, there it is. So Keegan Baker is going to join us in, and the Chaz may join us as well. He's got an open invitation, a little bit tied up, so we'll see if Chaz can jump in and talk to us about some of the controversies going on in the sprint car world. I don't really want to bring them up, but Chaz is all over them, so I'm excited to hear what he has to say.
I have a fundamental problem hearing that Chaz is tied up.
Like, yeah, I don't even want to go there.
Doing what?
I don't even want to go there. You can battle it out with them.
You can do it or you can't do it.
He's printing Matt Williamson hero cards to give out in Tulsa because Matt's going down for his first foray. Maybe needs a bit of that help. But let's bring Matt on now as he's here so we don't waste anybody's time. Two-time defending, reigning Super Dirt Series champion Matt Williamson. Matt, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on, as always, guys. I feel like it was just yesterday we were talking about a race in the near future, and here we are to talk about it again tonight.
I thought you were talking late models. I really did, Matt. When you kind of teased that, I think the Chili Bowl was right off of everybody's radar. Maybe tell us how the deal came together to get together, and we'll talk about the team you're going to be with here shortly. But first off, how did the deal come together? When did this whole chat come about?
Yeah, so long story short, I was at Middletown for Eastern States, and I was actually talking to Alex Jankowski about what he had going on for the Chili Bowl, and a gentleman that was standing behind us said, to me after the race, "Hey, when you were talking to Alex, what did he say?" And I told him the details, and he said, "I'd be interested in helping you out with something like that if you could get a ride like the Keith Kunz ride." So I went to work and talked to Jeff Barron, who talked to a gentleman from Willwood, and then that turned into talking to the whole KKM team. I mean, it started with Pete Willoughby, and then we went down there during PRI and got fitted for the seat. And, next thing you know, here we are racing in less than a week.
Matt, how does that come about from a casual conversation at Eastern States, and 6 weeks later you're getting fitted into a race car seat? That's got to feel a little bit surreal.
Especially with that team. I mean, I think I've had the opportunity to go to the Chili Bowl before, but it's tough, and I've been pretty vocal about going down there. I mean, when you go down and race against guys that do it all the time, and they do it year round, and you're competing against teams like Keith Kunz Motorsports and Alex Bowman Racing. I mean, it's I could CB Industries. I could sit here and name off 5 or 6 teams that have top notch stuff with really good drivers that do it all the time. But, the opportunity for me came to race with Keith, and I think that I would be crazy not to do it. That's for sure.
Spencer, bring up the team graphic if you can with all of the cars on it. Matt, let's just look at some of the guys. McIntosh, Miller, Emerson Haxam, Christopher Bell, Buddy Kofoid, Ryan Timms. I mean, you've got some of the best in your corner here to rely on. So how does that work for you, Matt? Do you know any of these guys? Do you have any thoughts on how the team dynamic will come together? Obviously, in a new situation like this, you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know many of them. Cannon won the midget deal, and they brought him to Charlotte when we were doing the pictures down the back straightaway. I got to talk for 3 or 4 minutes with him. I talked with a couple of the people when I was down there at the shop, but for the most part, I mean, it's me and Alex, and that's what we're getting into. So I've relied on Billy V a little bit. I've been texting back and forth with him. I asked him how practice works on Sunday. I had no idea how practice works, so I was texting with him yesterday about it. I talked to McCready at the airport in Charlotte a little bit. I've tried to reach out to a few people that know what goes on down there, and I got a TV in the shop. I've been watching in-car videos every day, all day. So I'm just doing as much as I can to prepare. At the end of the day, I mean, we're racing, like I said, against people that do it year round. So my expectations are always high on myself. I feel like if you ever go to a racetrack and you don't expect yourself to win, you're selling yourself and your team short before you get there. So I'm gonna go there and try and win and do the best that I can, and that's why I'm trying to do as much as I can beforehand. But obviously, I'm realistic, and we're going down to race against some damn good race car drivers. So it could go one way or another, and either way that it goes, I'm excited for the opportunity and thankful for everybody that made it happen.
Matt, any of the people you've talked to about racing in there, what's been the biggest cautionary tale from someone like T-Mac who's been down there and had some success? What do you need to worry about as a modified racer going midget racing?
Yeah, a lot of them said that it's very similar to the way a modified drives. I don't think that there's a big caution thing that I have to look out for. Obviously, things happen a lot faster in that sort of circumstance where you're racing indoors. But like Timmy said, the last couple of times that he's went down there, he's raced for individual teams or teams that weren't the KKMs or those level of teams. So he's won the race in the past, and it's cool to hear what he has to say. But like he said, you're going down and racing for the Joe Gibbs or the Rick Hendrick of midget racing. So obviously I'm super excited about that. And hopefully, we can go out with a car that's fast right out of the box. It seems like when I went down to the shop, them guys really knew what they were talking about. It was a whole lot of confidence coming from their end. They knew what they were doing going into the week. And, I asked them about changes throughout the week, and they really didn't, say that there would be many changes. So they're pretty much going to unload fast, hopefully, and I can adapt behind the wheel to make myself fast enough.
Matt, McCready went out and showed that a driver of your discipline can go out and make this happen. It kind of opened up a lot more doors for him nationally to get into the late models and make new opportunities. How are you feeling, Matt? Like, do you think in your career beyond the Chili Bowl, doors can still open for you, or do you feel you're too old to get an opportunity? And the reason I asked that, because I heard your dad say that, oh, maybe Matt's too old for that opportunity anymore. And I don't think that's the truth. I think you're just coming into your prime. Adam and I have seen you since you were a 12, 13-year-old kid, grew up in this deal. I think your maturity level with the media is fantastic. You're hitting on all cylinders now. So how do you feel?
I don't really know what to feel. Honestly, it's all happened so damn fast that I don't know, whether I've really realized or had time to sit down and think about what could happen if we do go down there and run good. So at this point in my career, I'm really happy for what I'm doing. I enjoy it. I got a baby on the way in early May this year, so sticking around home is probably the smartest thing I could do. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to get out and race, a late model. I'd like to get out and race some sprint car stuff. Obviously, there's big money races when we're racing modifieds for $2,000. You could be going to race a late model for 20 or a sprint car for 20. So if we could go down there and kind of open some eyes, I think that it would be cool. I think it would be even cooler to show how much talent comes out of the Northeast. Obviously, Stewart's done it with the trucks. Matt Shepard went and raced the late model down at Eldora. There's been guys that have branched out. Obviously, what McCready's done, in his whole career. There's been guys that have come out of the Northeast and went to the next level. But I think that racing a big block modified right now, you can race for so much money and you're close to home. And I'm happy the way I'm doing it. I mean, I may not ever be a millionaire in life, but I'm happy that I get to stay close to home and hang out with my friends and not spend life on the road. I mean, we're on the road so much already. It's like, PRI turned into Christmas, then the Chili Bowl. Me and Nat are going to take a week off and go on vacation in between the Chili Bowl and Florida. And then once you're down in Florida, it's like you get back for 2-3 weeks, and then you're racing Port Royal, and then you're racing till November. So we're already racing 88 times a year. I mean, I think that if I do have an advantage over any of these guys, I think that we've raced more than them. So, maybe my racecraft can be better, or, the knowledge of what's going to happen ahead of you on the racetrack, maybe that could be, better than what these guys do. I know that they race quite a bit, but I don't think they race close to 90 times a year. So, like I said, the modified stuff, we're happy doing what we're doing. I race for great car owners, with my own team and, all the other teams I drive for. I'm a pretty lucky guy. So, I don't want to screw that up doing anything down the road.
So tell us what night you're going to be racing and which one of your teammates are going to be running on the same preliminary night as you.
Yeah, we're racing Wednesday night. So I don't really know too much about how the Chili Bowl works. I guess you can night jump. Like people try. I watched a couple YouTube videos and they were talking about guys that would like try and go on Monday because Monday's apparently the easiest and Friday's the hardest. So it's like a scale of how it works throughout the week. So I guess there's some people that night jump, and from what I read, Wednesday's the hardest night at this point with the people that are racing. I don't know what teammates I have racing. I know that Alex is racing Wednesday now too. I think Emerson Axum is racing that night, but I'm not really sure. I think Taylor Reimert's racing that night. But like I said, I'm not 100% sure. I'm just going off of what I've seen on social media lately. So, yeah, at this point, we're racing Wednesday. We go down there. We're going to fly out of Buffalo at 7 in the morning on Saturday. Hopefully get there around noon. Go to the Expo Center and get a pit pass and see the guys and, get introduced to everybody and sit in the car maybe and, get fitted again and make sure everything's good. And then we practice on Sunday morning at, I think, 8 in the morning. So it's all going to happen pretty quick. I'm going to try and watch Monday and Tuesday as much as possible, walk around the pits, try and take in as much information as possible. And then we hit the track Wednesday, and hopefully we don't go back on until late in the day on Saturday.
Matt, in general, what would you say your style is? Are you like a slick track specialist, or are you rather be, hammer down up on the top? In general, I mean, obviously you don't know going in the weekend, but what would you say in general when you pull up to a track? Are you looking for it to slick off it for your style, or you want it heavy?
Yeah, what I'd prefer and what I'm going to get are probably two different things. But I think that, obviously early in the night, it's going to be pretty fast. I've watched damn near every lap of the Tulsa shootout this week. In and out. Tried to watch the bigger races as much as possible. But what I noticed was the track, when they go and work the track, it tends to have grip for quite a bit of time. It takes probably 15 good laps of a feature to get, any blackness to the racetrack. But I noticed some things about guys short sliding each other and how they get up on the cushion and they can bike a little bit. But if you could tell me that the place would be black from top to bottom with no rubber, I'd be pretty excited. I think that, if you can drive them things off the right front, like we do our modified stuff, then it'll really pay off for me. But, I think we've got good equipment where if it is hammered down and the cushion's big, I think the equipment that we're in is good enough to go to the front too. Obviously the passing's a little bit harder to do when the track's, hammered down, but yeah, we'll see. I'm not sure what to expect, but I'm excited for it either way.
There's going to be a lot of eyeballs on you, Matt. If you watch the Tulsa shootout, you heard Chris Moore and the conversations that they were all having about Northeast modified racers. How do you feel about that? I mean, do you want the spotlight shining on you, or would you just as soon be one in the crowd and let the cards fall where they might?
I don't know. I mean, I think that, in my career, if this was 10 years ago, I'd say, I'd like to be, the guy that's in the spotlight and, thrive off that pressure. Now I think, I run really good under pressure. Anytime we go and race and I feel like I got a big weight on my shoulders, I feel like we do a lot better than what we normally would do. Maybe, I put a little bit more effort into it then when that stuff happens. But this deal, I mean, I don't know how I'm going to do, it's, if we were talking about dirt week and, everybody was saying, hey, you're the guy to beat, blah, blah, blah. I'd go out and try and prove them right or wrong one way or another. But this deal, we could go out and we could be a lap car, in a heat race, or we could go out and win a heat race. So I think that everything is in place as far as like the car goes and the team goes and the knowledge, behind me. We're not going down with a lack of anything other than, the guy behind the wheel. So like I said, it's all on my shoulders. I can only do so much from the garage. I've never raced a midget before. So I guess we'll see what happens and hopefully we can be competitive down there and show what the Northeast has to offer.
Matt, before we let you run off, what's the Florida plan quickly for you this year?
Yeah, same deal as last year. We're going to do Land of Legends weekly, Rantsville weekly, Super Dirt Series. We're probably not going to do the whole Short Track Super Series South and North and everything else. We're going to probably do as many North races and South races as we can. We're going to start off at Port Royal and try and follow that deal as much as possible. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. I'm excited for the year. I'm actually in the process of building a body for my own car for Land of Legends, which I'm pretty excited about, doing different things differently than what, others would do. But yeah, we got our motors down at Chuck CC right now getting rebuilt. Our small block cars pretty much ready to go back together if we had to. We don't know whether we're going to build a new one or not on that end, but the motors are all ready to go. So yeah, I'm excited. I think we've got, a lot more knowledge than we had last year. It seems like every year you really think you know it all, and then you go into the next year and you don't know shit. So seems like right now at this point, I know more than I did at last year at this point, and that's all you can ask for.
Matt, just a quick follow-up here, Adam. Matt, you're building bodies there, and that's one thing we've seen you when we talk about your maturity, investing the money you're picking up at these big races and championships into the future. What is the difference with these bodies? Because as far as Adam and I grew up knowing, they're pretty much cookie cutter. When you say you're doing different things with the bodies, what kind of things can you do and what areas are you tweaking on these modifieds?
Yeah, no, you said it right there, like cookie cutter stuff. I mean, I think that, a lot of body guys, I don't know if any body guys really anymore cut their panels out by hand, and each frame is different. I know, Bicknell's is very consistent with where their Zeus tab locations are and sidebar pockets and everything else. But in my years of putting bodies on, no matter how much they try to make it consistent, there's always holes that are not perfectly lined up. And there's always holes that are off a little bit. So I try to make my race cars and not essentially just cookie cutter things where you got to pry a screwdriver to get a hole in. And then I change little things. I mean, I built a different V-nose. I built some different fuel cell tin. I'm doing the right side composite door a little different than others are doing it. So yeah, there's small things. I mean, from a grandstand point of view, you can't really tell, the major differences, but if you're putting the car together, you're not fighting with the Zeus buttons. I think that's the biggest thing. We always talk about the floors in these modifieds being free and, no binds or anything. And then we slap these bodies on and we're fighting to get Zeus buttons in. So I try and take that out of the equation and make every hole fit and line up and then do a little bit different, like I said. So not really major difference from the grant standpoint, but when you're working on it, it's a little bit easier, and I take pride in that. So that's really all that it means.
Well, I'm sure we'll have you on before the season, Matt. Maybe you can give us a tour of one of the race cars when the body is hung on it, and you can show us some of what you're talking about. But in the meantime, good luck down in Oklahoma and have a great time.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. I'd love to do that. That would be super cool. I know when I'm, like I said, I'm building the panels right now. So when I get back from Tulsa in between Florida, I'm going to bring the car back here play around on the surface plate a little bit with it. So maybe when that happens, we can get back on and show the viewers a little bit something different.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, guys.
Out there in the raging metropolis of Ridgeway, is that where you are, Matt? Looks like the internet's working out, and maybe I could head out to Maddie's and have a couple cold ones and show off some cool shit one night here on a Tuesday. So, Matt, we appreciate it. As we tell all our buddies, you keep running well, you're going to have to put up with us jokers. Thanks for your time again tonight, and good luck in the States.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
We appreciate you, too. Always great to have these guys coming back at them. I have a whole ton more questions about Matt. I know they're getting into composite bodies and plastic doors on these. We could talk about that for an hour, so we won't get to that. But today we got some other stuff going on, though.
What'd you do to your hair this week, Clint?
Nothing. I need a haircut and didn't.
No,
have
that's
any
a different.
product
Don't say nothing. That's a different look.
No, it's not. It's the same.
Is there highlights?
No, God, yeah, gray, asshole.
There's a nice wave to it. Like, I'm just sloppy. I need a haircut. But you just turned your head like, oh my goodness, was that blue steel?
Oh my God, I don't even touch my hair because the one time where I got caught adjusting it on camera, you never let me live it down. Wow. Just so our pavement viewers know, we try to get a 50-50 split every week. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Mm-hmm. Sometimes our pavement drivers have to tip out at the last minute, whatever happens. Not all the pavement guys, because dirt guys drop out too. But, we try to keep – because we're going into another dirt segment. That's why I bring that up.
We've got some pavement stuff to talk about. We've got pavement stuff to talk about, but we tried to get even better content.
Big pavement stuff to talk about. But they're not our presents to unwrap, so we have to wait till the people who are getting those gifts or making the stuff happen are ready to reveal it. Next, we're going to welcome on a young racer out of Ontario here. His dad raced for a while, handed over the keys to this guy, and his brother's coming into the deal too. Keegan Baker's going to join us now. Keegan, welcome to the show. Keegan is a crate racer in the sprint car division at Ohsweken and formerly micro sprinter, moving up the ladder. Brother Campbell ran really good in the opens this year and moving up to a two-car team with the Bakers. Keegan, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Oh, not too bad. Thank you guys for having me on here. It means a lot.
Keegan, how old are you these days, and what grade or where are you taking your schooling?
I am 17, and I'm still in my last year of high school.
But, Adam, I just want to set this up because I want to finish this up. This is very important. I think this is super cool. For the past couple of years, Keegan's been working on his education. He's headed to the Mohawk program for aircraft maintenance engineer. Already done a bunch of flights. Already been messing around. He's on the path to be a aircraft mechanic, Adam.
Very cool. And Keegan, I'm really happy for you, but that's not what I want to talk to you about, because I think you won one of the coolest awards of the season at the Ohsweken banquet, and I would have lost this bet. If someone told me ahead of time that you won this, not that I would have doubted it, but I wouldn't have predicted it. You passed more cars in feature competition in the crate sprint division than anybody else. And I think that is one of the coolest acknowledgments there is about how good a season you had. Did you know you were going to win that award?
I didn't know if I was going to win it, but I knew I definitely passed a fair amount of cars. We started at the back a lot this year. We had some bad draws a lot of the time. We had a lot of 99s. It was a lot of work on and off the track to get to where it was, and winning the hard charger was a good award. It was the first real big award I've actually won. Compared to like the micro sprints, I did get the championship my first year, but to get the hard charger in the crate really meant something to me.
No, and that's why I bring it up. That's you can't. That's not a voted on award. That's not a popularity contest. It's black and white. You passed a lot of freaking race cars. Sorry, Clint.
No, I think that's a good way to put it too, Adam. You know, you're in with some great drivers along those wards. I mean, that's a Ryan Beagle, a Mike Bowman, and Keegan Baker and Alex Riley, I think, was the mini stock driver. And I think that's the best thing you put on him. It's not a vote. It's not a popularity contest. That's just a straight fact that you pass more cars. Keegan, so for the viewers watching at home with the draw system at Oshawegan Speedway, if you don't get into the redraw, you're starting ninth or worse, tough to fight. And when you're moving towards the front, I mean, that's why you're winning that award, because you're passing cars, but you're starting deep in the field. How do you get a better starting spot? Well, we know that better. You just talked about a draw, but how can you improve it from the driver's seat or maybe the setup side of things to qualify better into these feature races?
I think one of the biggest things is just being consistent every single night, which is not easy. Definitely easier said than done, but just starting good right off the hop is definitely a big help.
So you come into 2025 with a clean slate, but you know you've got speed in the car, Keegan. What do you look forward to? What kind of goals have you set out for this year?
Well, we've proven that we can do it. We've shown we can run up there with the best of the best in our class. We're going to keep pushing to go as hard as we can the whole time on and off the track. Definitely learning lots off and on the track for sure. Lots of setup, tire prep, things like that. And just learning how to drive is definitely one of the hardest parts about the whole thing. But we're learning slowly but surely, and there's always more to improve on for sure.
Now, Keegan, you nearly won a race last year, right? You led this thing right till the very last couple of laps. Why don't you tell the story? You end up with a flat tire. You don't complete the deal. Everybody in the place was gutted for you. You're like that close. How much does that sting?
It was definitely a heartbreaker. Just working that hard, starting on the front row both nights was definitely an eye opener for myself, the team, and everyone watching. But it was a great experience, and hopefully we can carry that on in the next season.
Now, little brother is coming to race with you. Is this going to be a deal where you take him under your arm and you show him the way, or are you focused only on Keegan Baker and he can fend for himself?
Well, definitely a little bit of both. I'm going to help him where I can a little bit, but I got to do what I got to do to win for myself.
Campbell had a great season in the micro sprints at Oshawegan. If you watch some of the Thursday stuff, and then he got his test. He's not scared at all. He can stand on that pedal. I'm thinking about what Mom Christine's going to have to deal with both you guys out there. I mean, Dad's proud, but is Mom going to have any fingernails left by the end of the Friday nights or what?
I don't know. I get to hear about it all when she's watching at home when I get home. So I hear she's always yelling at the TV. So
might be a good spot for her.
She enjoys watching.
Probably. Yeah, safe distance is definitely a good thing. Talk about the difference between micro sprints and crate sprints. Which one feels faster behind the wheel?
Definitely the crate sprint for sure. It's a whole different world. Like just from the tight racing, the good competitors, and everyone being at the same advantage.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing we got is, the playing field is we try and keep it as square as we can. Keegan, what's the goal long term? Let's take the budget out of it. Money's not an object. Where are you going to be racing in the future?
Hopefully in a 360 or something bigger. Maybe do some more traveling would definitely be nice. I would like to do a lot more traveling, get a lot more racing in. Just kind of see where it goes.
Well, your dad's raced everything in pavement over the years. Any aspiration to go to the blacktop, or are we sticking on the dirt?
I mean, I've only experienced the dirt really, but I'm really liking it. I'm having a lot of fun on the dirt. We're all having fun on the dirt. We didn't tear much stuff up, which definitely helped us this year. But we're gonna keep going with the dirt unless we really want to change something, but I don't see we're going to be changing in the future anytime soon, especially with me and my brother going.
No, for sure. Well, Keegan, it's been a lot of fun to watch you for sure. I don't have a whole lot more for you. I'm excited to hear you're an up and coming aircraft mechanic. Like you got your head on straight. You got a bright future, and you did a hell of a job last season. I look forward to seeing what you can do in 2025.
Me too. I'm hoping for a good season, hoping everything goes well for me and my brother. Only bigger things to come.
Right on. Keegan, thanks for joining us. We'll be talking to you shortly.
Thank you, guys.
Another one of the up, and we talked about how we've got this great ladder system at Oshweekon, and the Bakers are a great proof of that. Both of them out of the micro sprints. Keegan's already making his waves here in the crates. Now Campbell's going to make the step up. It's super cool. Kind of like when we saw Lance Erskine grab a win last year. That kind of meant a lot from us Oshweekon homers because he was one of our guys. And when I talk about that, not to say all the Oshweekon racers are guys, but we saw this guy grow up. Like in his victory lane, he's talking about being in a stroller at Oshweekon at a couple years old, and here he is. So he really grew up with it. But it's great to see these youngsters make it happen. Good to see them looking towards the future too. Keegan, he's been on that flight path with the airplane mechanic for a couple of years already. So not even out of high school. So definitely on that road. Good to see.
It's a lot of fun too, Clinton, to watch these young racers go from figuring it out. Back up a number of years, while Mac DeMann was winning a ton of crate sprint races, some of these youngsters were at the back of the field learning how to figure things out, and then they get up to where they can contend with them, whether you're Darren Dryden, whether you're whoever, right, working your way through the field. But it all goes in a cycle. Keegan was the one sort of in the middle of the pack, back of the pack, learning how to figure it out. Now he can charge his way through the field, and I think he'll be a threat pretty much any Friday night, just like Lance Erskine is now. But you've also got to have your eyes on who's next. Who's next back there in the back, the middle of the pack, figuring things out. It's fun. It's really fun to have a division with such a healthy car count to be able to watch them progress.
We threw these kids to the woods, too. I remember Keegan's first race. He was like 14 and an action sprinter race at Maryville. Had never even pushed the car off, and we're like, yeah, go qualify, kid. Well, the Chaz, I see him on the screen, I think. Chaz, is that you? It is? Well, Adam, now you get to ask him why he could have been busy tonight.
What, Chaz, so Clinton comes on. He's like, oh, yeah, we might have the Chaz, but he might have something to do. Like, what, do we have him or not? What's the deal? Were we your second choice tonight?
No, not a second choice tonight. I don't know. I just trying to line up some interviews tomorrow. On my YouTube, I'm trying to make it at least stay consistent with Monday, Wednesday, Friday, instead of every day. Trying to not oversaturate the fans and give them something to look forward to. And we've kind of slotted into that Jay Leno time slot, the 9 o'clock. Getting rowdy and slinging some beer back and screaming and conspiracy theories and no, but I do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then days I'm not filming, I'm trying to find other ways of earning income and also taking those long 2 hour or hell, I had 2 shows last week that were 6 hours almost, for crying out loud. It's pretty sad. But I'm trying to go in there and then make little 8 to 20 minute clips that then I would put on the Facebook from the shows. And then you take those, and then that's where you go and you take those 8 to 20 minute clips. And now you make, 10 or 15 little reels or TikTok videos now. So I had a deal where we're trying to put together a Chili Bowl watch party here at Knoxville. I'm kind of in the Knoxville, Iowa area now as a home base. Trying to design just trying to make anything avenue income wise work. So I didn't know if the pizza guy was like, hey, I'm going to need you to come do this and design that, or we're going to try to figure this out. So I just didn't know. So, I'm here now. I'm here now.
It's all good, man.
Okay, Chaz, I brought you on for a couple reasons, because you're not afraid to jump into the controversies and expose whatever.
Well, Braxton Bush won without a provisional, okay? He won at shootout without a provisional.
I got other ones for you, but before we get into that, how would you describe yourself? Like, are you a journalist? Are you a fan with a voice? Are you an antagonist? Because you are unique in the fact that, a lot of guys either toe the company line and say the right things about the series and the tracks to be welcomed back, or you're just going to let it freaking fly, pay your own dime, do what you got to do, make it happen. How would you describe what the Chaz is and does?
Nitro 54 variety. I like that logo. That's beautiful. But anyway, no, I mean, I started out in, announcing racetracks and then promoting racetracks, and then learning media and marketing, and then seeing things I didn't like in the sport from a management promotional side thing. Like, I had been a fan my whole life, but yeah, once I started seeing things that I felt like were detrimental to the sport overall and its health, that were being kept quiet due to the money, due to the sponsors, due to a buddy system or whatever, it was like, if this stuff was exposed or talked about, I think there'd be so much of a public, all these private issues, if there was a public knowledge of it, there would be so much public backlash that these issues could be at least advocated out of the way. I think avocation is an underutilized thing that most people forget to use. So that was kind of my original idea with it. And obviously, when you start talking about private things that are happening in a public setting, the people who control all that stuff and have the money or have built the power structures up to control these narratives of that private sector that nobody else has ever had the balls to say, in sake of losing access or money or whatever, they're going to be pissed off about it, and they're going to sick their minions on you. And then there's going to be fan bases that are manipulated into believing certain things can never happen. Imagine how many P. Diddy fans are still in denial. I'm just saying, like, there's people out there that no matter what you tell them, no matter how true it is, they're going to deny certain things that are wrong. So, I mean, I made the decision back when I first started talking about these things that I'm going to have to accept I'm not going to be liked by a lot of people. People in powerful positions are not going to like me. But I have always kind of hoped, and that's why I somewhat call it godly light, or godly like, is because hopefully the truth will ultimately pay itself through, or life, or whatever. And luckily I've got to live a pretty damn good life ever since saying that, I mean, I was in the little coop nest just being the private yes man, and I would have been stuck in Dallas, Texas doing that for the rest of my life. But through saying what I'm saying and taking some big risks, I've got to travel the country, go to a bunch of places, meet a bunch of people, do a lot of things. Yeah, I've been close to getting my ass whooped a lot. And yeah, I've been thrown out of buildings, and yeah, track promoters, they don't come back here anymore. But I mean, the only track that has technically banned me, or said I couldn't come back or didn't want me on their property, me and God flooded them on my birthday this year. I mean, that's literally what happened. I mean, it was the most funniest thing I've ever experienced in my life. I was literally having my birthday party on my live, and I was like, I'm not going to that track. They said I can't come back, but I'll tell you what, you don't mess with God and the truth teller, or we will show you. And then I wake up the next morning and their whole track is flooded, their biggest events underwater. It was like, oh my God. I called everybody. I'm like, I'm scared. I'm shaking right now. How real is God? But at the end of the day, I feel like the thing I'm doing here, or y'all doing here, or what I'm doing is basic sports talk. It's not anything crazy. I mean, look at the Joy Taylor situation with Skip Bayless and everything that came out today. I mean, it's not to that degree. I hope not. But I think that it's hard to be supported sometimes, but it's worked so far. I mean, sponsorship and things, it's a difficult situation. I think sponsorship and stuff like that does pay for a lot of bills, racetracks, race cars, even these talk shows that we do. So that makes it tough because we don't have the fan bases to naturally support it. The NFL teams, they don't need a sponsor. They make enough money and people coming in watching their product. We have somewhat of a small fan base in comparison to these other sports that have similar style sports talkers. So it's hard to have a collaborative effort or support through truth telling through the fan base is what I mean by that. Sorry.
You were talking about something recently, and it goes along those same lines, because you were doing some talk about Dirt Vision and comparing it to Flow with the amount of engagement they get, the number of interactions that they get. Is Flow still part of? We're on the fringe. We're being part of the short track racing scene. Is that the difference? Because Flow has a big network. Flow is not just motorsports. Flow is college sports and AHL hockey and all sorts of other things. Is that why they get that much more engagement, do you think? Or is it just...
I think they put in the work. They put in the work. I mean, you look at the PRI show this year, for example. I mean, who else was doing more at PR? I mean, Flow literally took PRI over, and it wasn't just for their particular series, although they're involved with a lot. But I mean, they were doing the interviews with the drivers and the interviews with series directors, and that would be a typical, scenario where somebody like me would go in there and do, like a media coverage guy. And I referenced Michael Rigsby in that video I was talking about, because Rigsby came from a damn van, who's the, operator of Flow Racing now. He came from that world where he saw the value in media in the motorsports world and was being paid just to do the base level things. So I think when he got to this position with Flow, he recognized that, hey, we can do more than just broadcast races. We could do all this other stuff that at Dirt on Dirt, Michael Rigsby used to do all those years. And now the whole Flow team is kind of covering everything. You used to go to a Dirt Vision race, and there's a guy running in the pits not with Dirt Vision that's doing GoPros, or a guy running in the pits not with Dirt Vision that's doing the behind the scenes story or news drop, or trying to get the ins and outs of the situation. You go to a Flow event now, and it's pretty much they're covering every element. They're doing the GoPros, they're doing the driver interviews, they're doing the surrounding areas, attraction or whatever. It was at Perth for the Down Under event. They're doing a behind the scenes little segment video of, the TV broadcast system and how the track's set up and the layout. These are things that in traditional dirt media, now big media does that and NASCAR media does that, but traditional dirt media has been so small that those type of job markets are usually left up to independents to do. So I just think Flow, because I think of Michael Rigsby's influence coming from that independent media world, is trying to check every box that media can have in the sport and do it under one roof.
Chaz, what are some of the other hot stories going on? Some things I've seen you touch upon, always Larson. Always talk about Zona Larson. The other one we're talking about is, High Limit and all the controversy over the tech being swept under the rug that came out in the last couple weeks. The story, speculation, bullshit, rumor, whatever it was, that one day we may see them merge back up. Want to touch on any of those topics?
I mean, I don't know how that was an actual story, but it was an actual story from a somewhat reputable Adam Stern. This is something of a reputable platform there. Not a traditional dirt reputation, but a sports journalist reputation. So that would be cool. I don't know if that was like a 10-year, 15-year projection bullshit, having breakfast and the guy took it serious and just was like, hey, that would get some clicks. Because obviously it did.
Well, let me stop you there, Chaz, before we get too much further, because, we're really talking about streaming money, right? That is the divider here. That's what's going to keep these two series apart. And so until you can solve the dynamics of who's going to get the carrots of the stream, that's the big divider, isn't it?
Right. And that's really, well, yeah. And that's really why you think that Flow even pursued this with High Limit. That's the only reason, is because they had a grasp in the big block modified world with Short Track Super Series. They had a grasp with the Lucas Oil late model series in the late model world, and they didn't technically. They had the All-Stars, but traditional All-Stars wasn't a grasp in comparison to the World of Outlaws. That was a feeder deal. It wasn't a national stake with Flow Racing on the side of it. So I think that's why they pursued the sprint car deal. It was a very opportunistic time. They used the biggest star that sprint car racing had in Kyle Larson. and the reigning World Outlaw champion and his brother-in-law. So strategically, it was very smart to get up into that area. But yeah, if you're ever going to get to the point where you merge, you're either going to have to find somebody who's willing to buy somebody out, which apparently World Outlaws are for sale, $85 million if anybody wants them. Or World Racing Group, that is. So nobody's willing to pay that, though. So it's like, or I've heard, World Racing Group would never sell to Flow. Well, there's some third party, some Saudi Arabian king just coming by it all. Although I hear the Saudis are involved at Flow, but that's a whole nother subject in itself. BlackRock and Vanguard Group stuff there. But regardless, yeah, it's a laughing matter, United Care. But at the end of the day, yeah, it does come back to streaming. Streaming is where the money's at. It's the least investment. It's the biggest ROI in the sport. Your return on the investment when you're becoming a streaming company or acting like a streaming company is the best $1 to $1.50 you can get, because the promoters aren't making a lot of money. They're risking way more than the streaming company could think about. The teams are risking way more than anyone could think about. And the series are close to streaming because, a series is kind of marketed on, we have our tow package and platinum package and all these things for our series, but that's wrapped up into the sanctioning fee when a track technically purchases an event with the series. So the tracks are paying the series to survive. It's just the series job to, get a group together that's worth paying for that. And that's kind of the battle right now in the sprint car racing industry, I think, is that they're battling to try to get that best group that everyone wants to see, because it's not the late model industry. It's not the big block industry. There's not a lot. Big blocks are segmented within a region, in a way. So it's not the same thing as the late models where you got, 120 nationally funded late model teams at any given moment. There's maybe 30 sprint cars that could maybe run nationally on an outlaw or high limit tour, and there's not even going to be 30. Well, I think there was close to 30 last year, but that was a stretch. Everybody didn't think that was possible. Where you had, I think it was 12 guys on the outlaws and 16. So that's not even 30. It's 28. You only had 28 teams that could legitimately afford to run nationally in the sprint car racing industry. So it's kind of an industry that doesn't really have the financial support team-wise to sustain two national series. So in a way, long-term, I don't think it can sustain two series. So I do think somebody's going to win. I do think Flow is more like a Walmart and Dirt Vision's the local hardware store, and everyone else that streams is kind of like the little coffee shop. Flow's a big conglomerate. You walk into the store and they got everything you want on the shelf. You're not just racing. So, and that's why I said, Dirt Vision's the hardware store. They got the automotive covered maybe better than Walmart does. So, and that's that. And back to the teams with sprint car racing, one of the big things I ain't even got to talk on my show yet. I haven't even got to talk about this on my show. Learned today, there are teams now, and I was so prevalent or persistent is the best word. And I said it with Brett Cruz winning the shootout, and I was talking about there's plenty of rich kid representation in motorsports. We need the working man to get represented. That's why I love dirt racing, because I think the working men have a better opportunity to succeed versus NASCAR is pay to play. At least in the dirt world, there's an opportunity for the guys to race their way to a national level, no matter what creed you come from. As long as you perform, your performance will eventually be rewarded. But after my phone calls today, I can't believe we're getting all upset about this. Apparently, one of the best sprint car drivers without a ride nationally right now that everybody's expecting to see in a national ride at any given moment and pick a side is being asked $500,000 a year to have this ride, or $600,000 a year to have this one. That's what sprint car racing has all of a sudden become now. And this is relatively new. Like, we've heard of people buying rides and midgets for years and all this stuff. But now, I guess, 600,000, 500,000, these are the numbers you have to bring to think about running nationally in sprint car racing on a tour if you want to be a driver.
Crunch the numbers, Chaz. Can
Makes
a
sense.
driver make...
I mean, go ahead.
I'm not going to say right or wrong or indifferent, it's happening, and none of the three of us can stop it. Could a driver invest that $500,000 in themselves and make that money back over the course of a season through merchandising, prize money?
If he's really good, you could say that. Yeah, that's lucky. If he's really
my
good.
question to that would be, okay, $600,000, but what's the payout split? Because for years this was, if I'm good, you're the owner. We're doing a 30, 40,
70-30 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, on the shit end of 30 split. If I'm a good driver like a Matt Williamson in my big block who we just had, he's probably scoring a 50. You know what I mean?
Right.
So after I pay you $600 to run the Chaz Motorsports Sprint Car nationally for the entire season, that means unlimited motors, unlimited cars, and what's the payout split? So Adam, to answer your question, if the payout split's 50 and you're one of these top level guys, you could probably make that work. But still, that's more of a gamble than these top level dirt guys ever had to make on themselves, unless they were a family team investing.
Exactly,
right?
And that's the problem, because we're siphoning out talent now. We're doing the NASCAR route where we're starting to get into that phase where you're not racing into it. And the person I was discussing this is, well, it's like 80s, 90s NASCAR. It's getting really big. It's starting to blow up, and people wanting to get involved. And I'm like, well, NASCAR really didn't start trading money for talent until about the mid-2000s. They were putting guys in cars to win races, in the 80s and 90s. They were struggling to do that, so.
But tell me this, Chaz. Can we draw a link now? Does this make integrity that much more important? Because if I'm going to invest $500,000 to want to go and race a sprint car, and I find out that the people who aren't paying $500,000 are getting away with things that I can't get away with. Right? Like, so this is where
it's grandfathered in. Literally, it's grandfathered in talents now. And then it's who you know and what you know. But then the problem is we're dealing with a bunch of private enterprise funded situations. So it's these people who, literal individuals who own big companies or own something, and they spend their shit however they want, and you can want them to put another guy in a car for free, but they may ask $600,000 from this guy, but put this guy in the car for free for nothing because they like his dad.
And that's their right.
Is that a problem or is it not? I mean, it could be all tied back to streaming, though. I think the reason NASCAR didn't have to start trading money for talent until the mid-2000s is that was the digression of their popularity. Prior to that, if you was winning races, it was bringing enough fans and sponsorship attendance that winning races and being successful on the racetrack paid so much money that it was worth putting a guy in the car to win races and perform well because you were receiving a lot of money in exchange. Now, that could go and tie back to streaming because I do think that streaming, when you're on the flow and dirt vision level, at least, is not giving their fair share to some things, some series, some tracks, some events. I think there is a lot more in that pot to be handed out, on the bigger levels that could make it more valuable to win more so than be a part of. I think that's what the problem is here a little bit, is they're trying to put a lot of value in being a part of the World of Outlaws or in being a part of the High Limit Racing Series instead of putting value in performing well in their events, if that makes sense. It's more so about being a gang and we'll take care of you than, well, if you just come here and do very well, you'll get paid and compensated better than being in the gang. And that's an issue. So I think.
All right, Chaz,
always say I think. Always say I think. I don't want to get in trouble like Kevin Nowles. He had to delete his tweets. You saw that. So
we got about 2 minutes left with you, but we definitely could do this for hours at a time. Let's talk quickly. Tulsa Shootout, major success. 1,800 plus entries over 6 divisions. What a crazy deal. We got Chili Bowl coming up. For some of our maybe viewers who aren't that immersed in the midget, dirt, that world, who are maybe 2 or 3 upcoming drivers that we want to keep our eye on next week that we may have not heard of?
May have not heard of. It's hard to say. I mean, depending on where you're from and what you've done. I mean, like I would like the sprint car world. I'd be like, keep an eye out for Alex Jankowski. but that wouldn't be like a thing for y'all. Y'all know exactly who that guy is, or something
Yeah.
along those lines. I would say maybe there's the young driver out of Texas. Believe it or not, I saw him last year. He's kind of one of those 14-year-olds who work on their own things. Comes up his own way. I think he's the IMCA national champion this year, or rookie of the year champion. A guy named Carson Bowden. I think he's gonna shock a lot of people potentially. It is a very big vehicle dependent based event, I think. So you do have to have a vehicle under your feet. I would say Hank Davises of the world and stuff like that, but these are kind of, it depends on where you're from. Once again, Hank Davis is very well known, and he won a prelim night a couple years ago. Outside of Carson Bowden, there's always, curveballs, I think, in this still. I would like to say Ricky Thornton Jr. would shock some people, but is that a shock? It's just like there's shocks involved that aren't necessarily riding under the radar. And once again, like Yankowski, I mean, that would be a shock for most, but for y'all, it would be like, okay, yeah, we saw that coming.
Yep.
Yeah, sure. The only other thing I want to talk to you about, Chaz, before we let you go is you've been at this game for a little while. I was blown away at the Tulsa shootout by how good the interviews were. I didn't even care for some of the questions. I thought the questions could have been better in a lot of cases, but these drivers are so good at they're not even trying to sell themselves. They just know that they're a character, and if they give a ballsy interview or a spot-on interview, it's going to help their career. Have you ever seen more good interviews than what we saw at the Tulsa shootout?
I mean, there were, and obviously you're talking about young age groups to old age groups. There's that one kid in the victory lane that ran like third in the restricted, said, I just drove the balls off of it. It's like, how do you even know what that means? You're like 5 years old, but it was so good that it was, even Robert Ballou, clipped that and said, this guy's going to be big one day. I think it's a lot of monkey see, monkey do access, to see, the national racing that we get to see now, both on the late model. I think the late model world has a lot of characters, your Tyler Erbs, your, Carpenters, and just different guys out there that are being exposed or shown to kids and people more. So people are getting more examples of how to act on a camera. It's not just like 10 years ago when the only guys we really saw on camera were a bunch of NASCAR people. And you noticed everybody, tried to manipulate or manifest what they were seeing the NASCAR people do on the national TV screens, so I think they're just people are getting more examples of how to act. And once again, I think we're very imitative creatures, that's why trends exist. So I think that can happen as far as the way we act as well. I don't know if Canada is going to be the 51st state of the United States. But we'll find out how many people will imitate that idea. I don't know. Greenland is being purchased now. I don't get it, guys. I'm scared.
Well, Chaz, I can tell you from the racing end, from the business side, it would be the best thing for Canadian motorsports. I realize there's a ton. Well, just eliminate the borders, dollars at par. There's it would change the racing in Canada so much. But for the good. But hey, our forefathers fought for our freedom, so we're not exactly excited to give that up either.
So hold on, did the forefathers fight the Americans for the freedom? I'm curious on this. How did that work? I don't know.
Well, allegedly we burnt down the White House.
The Canadians burnt down the White House? Do not.
I think it was British.
He will rally half the country to retaliate.
That's the question. Was it the British or were they Canadians? But the Canadians were British. I wasn't there, so I can't speak to it. But,
how did the French get involved? Is this some Napoleon shit? What's going on?
Listen, we were badasses. Back in the day, Canada was a bunch of fighters.
Really? Clam chowder and all, huh?
Now they've all gone to play hockey for the most part. But there was a time, if you open the history books.
Hey, man.
Chaz, we're going to try and get you up for our Outlaw shows. It'd be great to have you in town for the week.
It would be cool.
Tell our viewers where they can catch your normal stuff.
It's YouTube, Long Live the Chaz, or the Chaz is the YouTube, Long Live the Chaz on all the other platforms. if you just search "Long Live the Chaz" or the Chaz Racing Base, that'll be the one thing that pops up. We're trying to do shows Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll have one of y'all's guys, or kind of one of y'all's guys, on tomorrow night. Tim McCready joining the show. He's going to be launching a new paint scheme. He's the 39. Tim McCready is done. New team starting in 2025 with Boom Briggs, and they got a big paint scheme reveal Friday. I'm going to try to help promote that Wednesday, and it'll be pretty cool. Me and Tim McCready always have good talks, so it'll be interesting to see what's brought up tomorrow night. But this Friday, we're going to have a big show next week. Obviously, Chili Bowl's happening, so we'll be talking about it pretty much every night, I'm assuming.
Right on, Chaz. Thanks, man. We appreciate your time tonight.
No problem. Thank you, Clinton. And you, Adam.
Yep. Good to see you, man.
Man, we could spend 10 hours just bullshitting with Chaz. Always electric when he comes on. Great to see.
He's well-spoken, right? Like I can't go on a tangent as well as he can. Like, he'll stay on topic. Hard to keep up with sometimes, but I like what he stands for. I really do.
As long as the border don't turn him around, we're getting him up here in May one way or another. So, Tulsa shootout kind of speaks for itself. We touched on it. Not much really to go on there, other than the fact that how amazing is it that guys like Christopher Bell are super excited to be back there. You got Larson flying 26 hours to race there, and some people say, well, race against the kids or whatever, but just shows how important that Tulsa Expo Center events are, whether it be the Tulsa Shootout or the Chili Bowl. Everybody wants to be a part of it, right?
I challenge you, if you think maybe Kyle Larson's a little bit much to be going in there to race against these kids, turn it around. If Snyder had won that race, and he should have won that race, he was by far the fastest car. How big a deal is that when you beat these legends of the sport? So they're not coming in here and dominating these people. They're going in there and they're part of the mix. They have to work for it.
Product note. What was I going to say? Program note. We're hoping to be Tuesday. I don't know if you know this, Adam, but Friday is Gary's birthday, my dad's birthday. But it's also my second round of jaw surgery. So I had it in September, right after Applefest. I go in Friday for more surgery on my upper right side here. I'm thinking I can talk by Tuesday. So we're planning on being on schedule, but if something happens, might have to bump that. But I think we should be good to go. Two more things. We've got the mud stops here at Burger Barn Videos of the Week. So, Adam, in my general manager role at Oshweek Speedway, we get new businesses and products coming at us all the time. Spencer, we're able to get that PDF and promo video going. So I get this in my email yesterday. We were asking about it on the show, and here it shows up. Reusable construction entrance. So this is something, remember we saw this at the indoor race at Gateway, and we were trying to ask, what is it? Well, it's mats that you can put down on your roadways, and they take all the mud off. So we could put this like at the exit of the pit area at Oshweekend, or where the cars come off the track into the pits onto the pavement at Oshweekend, and it would collect all the mud and keep it from being tracked through the pit area. I thought it was kind of a neat, and I just thought it was cool because we were asking what the heck it was a month ago, and now it's in my inbox, and they're trying to sell us to it because they think they could be a good partner with the Speedway and a good fit, and I think it would be. So it's just, I thought it was funny how that all come together. Whew. Hey, Fletch, welcome to the show. I spent 3 weeks, I think we were off, just sending in videos to the Burger Barn Video of the Week dump account we use. Spencer said there was a metric ton of them. I don't know how many we got. Spencer, how many did we get? Did you pull 3, 10, 30? It was counting. Okay, just start pulling.
Wow. He's over a dozen.
We're going to be here for a few more minutes. You okay for some overtime, Adam?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, let's go. Burger Barn this week. Okay, so let's stop this before we watch this again. So, the kid is obviously not knowing how to use the brakes. Dad is on it. But at what point in your time did you ever picture, like, how long has this gone on that you had to process this and figure, okay, my only option is to tackle the kid at 80 miles an hour. Run it, Spencer. Dad just clotheslines him. I thought that was just wild. Okay. Keep him coming. Feel free to jump in anytime, Adam.
Hey, bud. Sorry to interrupt you. I got something that I gotta show you. A car? Yes. All right, give me 1 second. Like, I'm actually looking at this car right here, but I'll, What do you want to know about it? This, why? That's it. Just a car? That's a car. No way. Yes. This is your car? That's my car. That's a Formula One car. Formula Indy car. Indy car. What's it doing here? How do you take it off the track to bring it to here? I drove it in. No, come on.
Yeah, that's good, Spencer. But can you imagine having that on the road? Rolling up to the cruise night? Just my Indy car. Street legal Indy car. Let's see, what else we got? Keep them coming since we got like 15 of them. Okay, this is just remote control racing, but look at this. This looks like fun. Just an enduro.
Oh, Jesus.
And the object is to just get through it and put as many laps down as you can. All right, that's good.
That gives me anxiety watching this.
Just a little bit of flavor of some of the stuff that we collect. Keep them coming, Spence. Okay, look at how deep this water is. Like, yeah, just pour it off into turn one, and it's just turns into the sippy hole from the.
I never raced in water that deep, but at Shannonville, the water would come up over the floor pan, run up your legs like that. It held some water.
And you guys race in the rain too. Okay, keep them coming.
Indoor ice karting, and here's what I learned.
Okay, this looks like a blast.
The grip for each corner changes lap by lap. For example, the track had been freshly Zambonied just before our first session, which meant that the track was, well, as slippery as ice, even with studded tires. But then by our third session, the tires had tons more grip, making the wheel-to-wheel racing even closer. I also learned that the barriers are just as stiff as concrete because they're filled with ice.
That was super cool. You know, we used to do the slick track stuff in New York there, in Tonawanda?
I think so.
With oh man, Tony's guys. All right, let's go.
So you're putting your race car inside of a trailer, and you're going to drive it with your phone. Yeah.
Okay, so this is for the late model guys, right?
Cool.
Who can't get in and steer the cars into the enclosed trailers. But just look at the size of this apparatus. What is this, $1,000 piece
so you're
to give your car remote steering with your phone?
Yeah.
It just looks like a stupid rich guy gimmick to me.
Yeah, that's a little much.
All right, let's go, Spence. Oh, I always joke about if we took the sprint cars to CTMP, they wouldn't be as good. This reminds me of a sprint car at iCar almost. Looks like so much fun.
Awesome.
Looks like so much fun. Tires.
Well,
not
did
loving
you know?
It, but...
You've been to Autodrome Chaudière.
Yes.
Did you know the Empire Super Sprints raced there?
No, really? Well, I know they did Evans Mills. But what if we got a sprint car to drive festival? To drive up CTMP Hill. That could be interesting one time. All right, let's go, Spencer.
Cool.
Okay, so this is how some teams showed up to the Tulsa shootout last week. What a rig. Just show that one again from the start, Spencer. That is a hell of a trailer.
One of the things that has done a lot of damage to motorsports is enclosed trailers. And I get that they're necessary for people that are traveling and being overnight and for security reasons. But when we talk about the heyday of racing, all these race cars were towed in on ramp trucks and open trailer, so you come.
Yeah. Are we losing him, Spencer, or is it me? You got Pixlate there. Okay, keep him coming, Spencer. I don't disagree, Adam. You used to be able to follow those race cars right to the track.
It is rice tractor drag racing in the middle of a rice field. These guys have taken their farm equipment, modified them, and now they are drag racing.
All right. What do you think of that?
I don't know.
I know it's strange. Yeah, keep them coming. You got to be getting down there now. Okay.
Moving on to second place, ladies and gentlemen.
Comey, this was down at Perth Down Under. Got a lot of plays. A lot of people sending us cone videos, wanting that remote control cone, so we don't have to send poor Chris Long out there.
He's flipped it. He made it out of
At intermission, they sent him out for a lap.
Bring him home. And Cody makes a lap of the Motorplex Speedway. Sub 45 seconds. Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, next up, Tony Laporta hanging out on the front straight for the dice roll. But before we get to that, let's check out this flip. Was it a good flip?
That's good.
Watch it here on the replay. Oh, yes. And that's a brand new body shell. Rick and Terry in gold section. I'm going to need a new one because that looks
That's great.
Yeah.
I think we need one, right?
It's a little bit flat.
Oh,
for sure.
We'll just inflate him back up. That was brand new.
It reminds me of the sorting hat from Harry Potter.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. What else we got? Oh, listen to this giant horse. Sounds like it's cammed right out. A lot of horsepower there.
That's cool.
All right. Another remote control. A remote control Rico.
Oh, that's sick.
The stuff we collect. Anything else, Spencer? I can't remember why we sent this one in. Oh! This is one if we want to spend a bunch of time. This is almost like our Brad Authier fight back in the day. Who's at fault here? To play that one more time, you tell me who's the ass. So the black car comes in, dirty slider got into him, right? But they touched earlier in the lap.
It's tough.
No time to debate that. All right, what else we got? Okay, so these guys, jackasses bang each other on the track, but watch this, the ultimate stupid move. Oh! Now you rolled yourself by backing up into his grill, but wait, it gets better. Now you're on fire, or soon to be. I'm pretty sure this is the one that caught fire. Yeah, there he goes. So you've just backed up your car under caution, backwards on the track to try and smash someone's grill. You end up flipping and burning your own car. Good karma there.
I would say so.
What else, Spence? Oh, this is just cool. Supercharged older car there, dual wheels, 1600 horsepower. That thing probably flies on the dry. But that's our Burger Run videos of the week for the return. Thanks, Spencer, for processing all of them. I know that was a pain in the ass, but we appreciate it. Thanks for being here, Adam. It's good to be back. We're headed towards racing season before we know it.
It'll be there before we know it. Next week, we're into Chili Bowl. So for those of you who are pavement racing fans, I suggest keep an eye out because ARCA is doing some testing at Daytona this week. I believe Thursday and Friday, cars are on track. And I think there might be some northern flavor down there. So you want to keep up with what's on the track, who's on the track, how that's going to go down, and we might have some follow-up business to take care of next week.
I see Mark De Silva brings up Gord Bennett trying to get the sprint car division before he went. I think to full throttle. We got to talk to Gord about this super speedway idea he's got going on too. That looks quite interesting what they're doing up there at Grand Bend, turning the road course into a 1 mile super speedway here. So
hybrid oval.
Yeah, I think it's a cool idea. I want to hear more about it. Excited to hear that. So we're headed for it. 2025, here we come. This was show 251. Crazy to think we've been at it this long. Will we make it to 300 by the end of the year? That's the question.
Sooner or later.
We've been making it. Thanks, Spence, for everything you do. Sorry you had to be back with us tonight. He's enjoyed a very quiet. I didn't talk to Spencer for about 20 days there. I had to send a message like, yo, bro, you alive? Because
you must have loved it. I'd love to know what Jay Tolton is typing.
Yeah, I don't know whether he got hacked or whether he's in a different language there, but it's been interesting all day.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get out of here. I got food to eat. Thanks, everybody, for everything, for joining us. We can schedule. I get asked about that a lot. We're about within the next 2 weeks, if not a week. I think we've finalized all the dates, just working on some other stuff. So hang tight. We'll get back at you soon. Thanks, Spencer. Thanks, Adam. See you guys next week.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, John. We'll see you all next Tuesday.